This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome back to Money Monday with Foster Financial, and we have been discussing the big beautiful bill and components of it that can affect you and your retirement. And joining me today is Caleb Doane, their Vice President. Hey there.
Hi.
Okay, so let's dive in deeper. So we've just had two really great conversations over Money Monday and Wealth Wednesday, discussing the big beautiful bill and areas of the taxes. So at first we discussed
we just the kind of extension of the 2017 tax brackets. Now those have been reduced permanently now. And then I think on Wealth Wednesday, we talked a little bit about the senior bonus, kind of that new deduction that's aimed at reducing the amount of taxes that people are paying on Social Security, kind of in a roundabout way. And then today, one of the big changes that we wanted to talk about is the state and local tax deductions, or what you'll often hear called SALT deductions, because there's a big change to that too.
Okay, well, that's so interesting. So if you didn't catch the first two, go back and watch it. Important information. Okay, so state and local taxes affects us in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
And so let's talk about SALT and what are the changes?
Yeah, so I guess one of the big things to kind of understand first is that when people do their taxes, you eventually get to take a deduction, right? So that reduces your taxable income a little bit, and you can either take the standard deduction, which is a set amount of money, or you can take the itemized deduction. And so we're going to be talking about things that kind of make up that itemized deduction section today. A lot of people know about the donations to charities is one big thing that kind of makes up the itemized deductions. There's also medical expenses. There's, interest payments on like your mortgage, for example. But a big piece of that is state and local tax deductions. So you can itemize some of your state and local taxes that you pay. The taxes that you pay to Indiana, the taxes that you pay to, whatever county that you're in, as well as your property taxes too. You get to deduct that from your federal income taxes. Previously, those state and local taxes, the amount that you could deduct was capped at $10,000. And so somebody might be paying, $25,000 or $30,000 a year in state and local taxes. Well, they could only deduct $10,000 on their federal income taxes. Now that cap has been raised up to $40,000. And so you can deduct a lot more from those state and local taxes, which can then, of course, save folks money.
Okay, that's a lot of state and local taxes, $25,000 to $30,000. But of course, that means that they're making a very high income.
Yeah, exactly.
to hit those tax amounts. And so that is interesting how you break down the itemized and the preset.
Yeah, the standard
because
deduction.
it's like it's hard to decide. Like I've gone through before and like, oh, let me itemize this, and then at the end it's like, well, the preset will give you a bigger deduction.
Right, exactly.
So it is natural to want to gravitate towards the preset. So I think it's fascinating that you're saying that itemized could actually work out for a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who previously, were taking the standard deduction who with this new change might then want to itemize. They might be able to write off enough to now itemize. And so I'll be interested to see if this, changes how much people donate, for example, because now if they're actually getting a deduction on their income from itemizing and being able to write off what they're giving to charity, maybe they'll donate a little bit more too. So this certainly is a very big change. And some of the other changes like the senior bonus, the extra depreciation or deduction that you get to take, that's more so targeted towards those lower and middle income earners. The state and local tax deduction cap raising is going to impact more of the kind of middle to high earners. So if somebody makes $100,000 to $500,000 a year, this is really going to impact them because they're the ones that are paying a lot in those state and local taxes. They might have a really big house that they're paying a lot in property taxes on. They might have a big mortgage and they're paying a lot of mortgage interest on it. And so this could push a lot of people into itemizing, and then they're able to write off a lot more of their taxes.
Interesting. Let's dive into that a little bit. So state and local taxes includes those property and housing taxes under that umbrella?
Yeah. The state and local taxes will include, the income tax that you pay to Indiana, the local taxes that you pay, as well as your property taxes. And so that's one thing a lot of clients have talked about this year with me in our meetings, is that they're saying, man, my house got assessed so much higher than what it was in the previous year. I'm paying a lot in property taxes now. Now, if you're itemizing, you'll be able to write off a lot more of that, which can be a really good thing for taxpayers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge jump. So to go from 10,000 now up to 40,000, but then when you hit that $500,000, you know,
right.
just $500,000.
Right, big problem. Right? Yeah.
When people hit 500,000 in income, that deduction opportunity starts to go down.
Exactly. Yeah. So that cap starts to get reduced there. This is also a provision that isn't permanent in the tax code. So the tax brackets staying at that kind of shifted down marginal tax brackets from 2017, that's permanent.
Okay.
But the state and local taxes, I think, is set to end, I want to say, in 2030, I believe. And so we have a few years of it with, with that higher state and local tax deduction. This is also going to impact some of those states that have higher state and local taxes even more, right? So if you're in New York or California, you're just paying a higher percentage in general. And so being able to write off a little bit more is going to be big there. For states like, you know, Florida or Texas, I think, that don't have state income tax, this might not impact them as much because there's just nothing to write off. But at least they'll still have, you know, property taxes maybe.
I've lived in the highest in California, and I've lived in no in Texas.
In Texas, yeah. So you know
so
the
now
whole
I'm
gamut.
right in the middle.
Right, exactly.
That is hilarious. But Caleb, I must say, to just throw out like, 2030 sounds insane, but it's like 5 years from now.
Right, it's going to be here in a flash for sure. So
what is happening? Okay. Well, thank you for keeping us updated.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you would like more information about Foster Financial, we'll leave their website and phone number listed below. And guess what? They offer complimentary consultations, so you can give them a call and get your finances checked out. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.